Ora and Aroha from New Zealand. I hope you're doing well in whichever part of the world you live in. For today's video, I'll be painting tulips in oils and with a NAS No. 2 round brush. Any brush would do. Even if you have a flat one, it would be fine. You could just tilt it and use it. I've used a pencil to do a sketch of 3 tulips on the paper. Any pencil would do. Even if it is a dark sketch, it doesn't matter because the oils will cover it up. It would be lovely if you could join me whilst I paint. You could use watercolors or acrylics instead of oils. In this video, I'm using oil paper and I've already done a background on it. I usually prepare my backgrounds in bulk for my oil paintings so that they are dried and ready to use for me when I decide to paint. I buy an oil paper pad and take a leaf from it and divide it into 4s. The size of the cut paper today is 10.5 into 14.5 centimeters. It's a small painting done in a single sitting, which takes me about a couple of hours. And that's including the time that I take to do the background, but not the drying time in between. You will notice that my brushes have a little bit of jagged edges, and that's fine with me because for my oil paintings I tend to use brushes with frayed bristles, and as it is, I'm a textured artist. I use a lot of textures in my art, so I really don't mind with the brushes fraying. The oil paints that I use for this video are permanent magenta, rose madder, sap green, titanium white, cadmium yellow deep hue, and black. The medium that I use to mix my oils is linseed oil. A list of the supplies will be in the description box below. You could open this box by clicking on the downward arrow just below this video. I usually paint on mounted or unmounted canvas when I do my oil paintings, but I'm using oil paper here since it dries faster and it's also quicker when you do smaller paintings. That's a useful tip to remember. Whenever you feel overwhelmed to paint or just don't have the time to paint, you could do a lovely landscape or seascape or any florals on these small papers. If you'd like to see my oil paintings on canvas, have a look at my Instagram page at brenrose.art. That's BRENROSE.ART. I've set up this YouTube channel to encourage children and beginners to learn art. So I hope you can share my page with children around you or anybody who is interested in learning art, whether family or friends. YouTube tutorials are free, so the best place to encourage them is to start off here. There are many other artists also who share their talent on YouTube for free, so I would encourage you to have a look at different artists and have different perspectives when you do your painting so that it molds you into a better artist. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for visiting my channel. If you're visiting it for the first time, a very warm welcome to you. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you like it, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell button to get future notifications. And if you've been here before, a very warm welcome to you. I thank you so much for supporting me. I really appreciate it as it motivates me to create more videos. My experience when doing these small paintings is you have to be careful while applying and blending colors. If you're just starting to paint with oils, it's useful to keep in mind that a wrong mix can turn your painting muddy. So it's best to try out your color mixes before you actually start out your painting. But I also have good news for you. If you ever do get a muddy color, you can just wipe it out with a bit of wet tissue paper or even a dry tissue paper and just apply another coat on top of it. That's why I love oils. It would be a bit difficult to correct your mistakes on watercolor paintings, but with oil paintings it's really easy. You can just rub it off, and or also you can wait for it to dry and then paint on top of it. For this particular tulip that I'm painting, I've used permanent magenta and titanium white, and then wherever I want to show the dark places, the recesses of the flower, I've used a little bit of black mixed with the magenta. If you don't have a permanent magenta, that's fine. You can use a red and a blue to make it purple, and you can get the white highlights and blacks added to it on different petals wherever you want to show the lighter parts or the darker parts. If you haven't used oils before, I'd really encourage you to try out some. You don't need to get very expensive ones. You can just buy the student grade ones until you are comfortable and familiar. Even making a red and blue mix to get purple, you can play with the hues in that. If you put a little red in the mix, it becomes a plum color. If you put a little blue in the mix, it becomes more of a aubergine color, blue and a little black. And if you put a white in the mix, it becomes a lavender color. So there are so many different ways, to mix your colors. For the background of this painting, I used the same colors more or less, and I just used them very lightly and then blended them all over the page. For this particular tulip, I'm painting it in rose madder. Again, all you need is a red color. If you want to make it into a little bit of lighter color, say pinkish color, just add a little bit of white to it, and if you want to make it a little bit darker, you could add a little black, or I prefer to add blues to my reds to make it a darker shade. Just experiment with colors and see how they go on paper as well as canvas, and within some time you'll learn how they react on both the surfaces. Now I'm painting the leaves and the stalks, and at any stage where if you find your paint dry, just add in a little bit of linseed oil, very light, just a drop, 2 will suffice. I'll put some music for you to enjoy whilst you're painting, and this is from soundtracks of iMovies, and the music is by Hans Zimmer and it's called Big Sky. So if I want to say something about my process in between, I'll just stop the music and pitch in. The other thing is that this part of the video is on time lapse, so if you want to make it a bit slower, you can click on the 3 dots above on the right hand side of the video and go to, it will take you to preferences, and you can select whatever preference you'd like. I take the branches and leaves out of the picture frame, and that's okay with me. Some may not agree to that and may say it distracts the viewers, but that's fine. I just do what I'm in the mood of doing and I feel like doing, and same with you. If you feel you want to do something in a different color or you want to represent it in a different way, please go ahead. It's not a botanical study, it's just having fun. And at the end of the day, even if you look at it, you can still make out that these are flowers. So that's all we want over here. That's our objective. So I hope you have fun. You would have noticed that I spend a lot of time in blending, and it's very essential to do a proper blending. So it could take hours sometimes, but if you want to get that effect, you'd have to spend that time. And as you get more confident with oils, you'd want to spend more time with it, and you like to add textures and all the small details to it. So the more time you spend, it's better. But like, it's every artist's curse, you'd never know when to stop. So once you are at a place and you feel that you have done enough, just sign it and leave it alone, because I'm guilty of it. For every painting of mine, I sometimes sign and still go back to it the next day. It is good in a way to go back to your painting the next day and to see, you see it with a different light, and sometimes you can correct things, but don't do too much of it. If you overdo things, then I have ruined many paintings also in that way. So yeah, that's a tip for you. So there we go. I'm signing off the painting now, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so, and hit the notification bell to get more of my videos. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and I do hope you go on to do many more paintings. Bye and see you soon.